Recording in progress, she says. I don't know if you can hear that, but it cracks me up every time I hear that voice. So this is me, Jennifer Roberts, and this is a daily energy reading. Sorry for the delay in between, though Jess says be unapologetic, which I absolutely will try to be. I've been super busy, super active, and, you know, good things happening amongst the chaos. So this is for the 20th of August 2021. Take what resonates, leave what does not. I appreciate you being here, listening, leaving comments, sharing, really helps. Subscribing helps even more, and just participating by leaving comments. Always like to catch up with how all of you are feeling in the energies of any given day and how you are working towards your greatness within them. So this being for the 20th of August 2021, let's look on the bottom of the deck first. We'll go old school. So we've got the Magician. Can you see that there close up? So the Magician. So this speaks of, you can see here, it's got all of the tools on the table, which would be suggestive of all of the experiences that you've had and having the ability and wisdom to make them into something that is of use to you. Learning how to be the alchemist in your own life, learning how to be the magi, the magician in your own life, utilizing the tools and experiences and gifts that you naturally have, or that you have taken the time to learn, to process, to get better at, become the master of. And so this speaks to number one, the Magician, in that it's one. It has everything it needs in this energy to manipulate, bend time, to draw upon the energies around this being you, able to absorb those energies and use them for the greatness of yourself or the greatness of others if you feel led to do so. So it speaks of being able to use even the most negative experiences that you've had in your life, as well as the most positive, for a good thing, for a positive outcome, in that you have learned valuable lessons amongst these experiences. You have learned what not to do, what to do, and to be able to draw that into a masterful place where you are able to utilize, manipulate, and deliver, channel a certain magic, your magic, that then has an impact on the outcome. But being this Magician, the number one, it speaks of having the confidence to be so. It speaks of having confidence in yourself, confidence in the learning processes that you've had in order to get to this place of being able to even utilize what is on the table for you. And so this is where it also is a lesson, a reflective lesson, to not regret, to not drag yourself down in regrets of experiences of the past or experiences of the recent. If indeed there've been experiences that have been difficult, or that you feel you've misplaced your steps along the way within that experience, but you're on the other side of it, you can either choose to be the magi and draw out the degree from it, let's say, the credits from it, let's say, or you can be in the lower end of the spectrum of vibrations, of frequency, and choose to not see the capabilities that you have to hand, even from the most negative experiences and from, of course, the most blissful experiences. So it speaks of being able to be confident in yourself, to not have regrets of the past, but to be able to utilize everything along the way that you've gained in wisdom of. And so on the bottom of the other deck, we do have the Ace of Wands. So this speaks to a very passionate energy. You know, that looks like two wands quite literally, in that there's the utilization of a wand. Some things I've been making recently with gusto, they're coming on really great, but also having this wand here of passion, drive, creativity, of bursts of fire, of energy, of just this driven energy. And so again, this comes in with this confidence to utilize your wand, this confidence to be able to channel yourself through your wand, channel the magic that you are putting together through your wand. Now, there's magic going on around us for sure, all of the time, particularly from the powers that be, well, those above the powers that be. Different kinds of magic, various different forms of magic. You know, they're prevalent in our reality, just a lot of people don't see it as such. They haven't got the eyes to see or the ears to hear. So if you do not get to a place of wisdom where you understand the fact that if you don't do your own magic, if you don't have this passion and drive to learn your own style of magic, to learn your own best capabilities, then other people will do that spell work for you, and you'll just be taken along for the ride with it. And so to be able to grab a hold of this wand, to be able to channel this power, this source of creativity, this confidence in your sovereignty and in your divinity, to be able to even utilize the experiences in a way that would deliver a magic spell, a palpable result of your magic, is very, very powerful. It's what we all need to be doing right now, for real, for real. We all need to be taking heed of this right now, and taking our own ship back, taking our own, being the captain of our own ships, putting our wand in the direction that we want to go, the direction that we've decided upon, with wisdom, with knowledge, with contemplation, with discernment, all of those things that make up the level of being a magi, a magician. So there's this going on. It also speaks to the kind of magic that we get led into in our individual lives, where if we're not cognizant of the fact that we have these powers within, that they are ours to use, if we are not appreciative of the fact that we have these sources of power to channel. Indeed, like Wayne has been speaking of beautifully lately regarding the angels and being able to get back into relationship with them, because indeed, as far as I'm concerned, also they are there. I saw them as a child. If we're not in relationship with them, then they will find relationships with other people. And it is a consideration of mine, going off this reading ever so slightly, but still on it for sure. It is a consideration of mine that a little bit like the gods and goddesses that I did a video on a while back, of they rely on us to be, for them to be able to be apparent in this realm, in this dimension, whatever you want to call it. That if we do not have them in our consciousness, then indeed do they even exist, or do they exist in the same kind of power that they used to when many people had them within their consciousness, when many people channeled their power from the etherical into this physical realm. Therefore, they were part of this realm with a lot of connection and a lot of power. So I feel after listening to Wayne and actually being in my own practices regarding, and it's R. Wayne Steiger, if you don't know, look him up. But listening to him and getting back into that practice with this very practical way of delivering it with this book that he's reading right now, is that, you know, there are friendships, there are bonds that I realize that I have been a bit neglectful of. And I can feel the elation, the fact that, you know, yes, I've been in connection, but not like I used to, certainly not as when I was a kid. And certainly not as even as you know, just recently being distracted. You get taken off certain paths and stuff, you get distracted and you forget. And so, you know, being in connection with that, you realize that as far as my way of thinking has been anyway, and as far as the messages that I've been getting, some of the messages, is that if we're not going to be in connection with them in the way that they work best, on a respect level, on a friendship level, then in order to, their energy can, like ours, can be hijacked and harnessed by beings here, the so-called powers that be, let's say, you know, and if they don't work with them, you know, do they cease to exist in our consciousness? So if we are to get in this friendship, in this connection with them, use our wand to be able to channel other sources of energy into this reality, then do we give those angels a release from having to work with only these so-called powers that be, from maybe having to deliver certain things just to them and not to those in the collective, because those in the collective are not cognizant of the relationship or are not putting the time into the relationship. So there's that to consider with these two cards. And I know that went off into another deep end, but somebody needed to hear it. And it is a very powerful, powerful message as far as the capabilities that we are not hooking into in our greatest capacity. We are still ignoring the capabilities that we have to hook in and channel these sources of energy that actually are quite wanting us to channel them. And so to be discerning, for sure, it's your magic. You can feel what's right and what's wrong. You can feel the vibration. And yes, there are a lot of tricksters in the spiritual realm. Of course there are. But do we sit back and just allow the tricksters that we know are, in my opinion, even darker than most that I've come across in the spiritual realm, in the etherical realm? You know, do we just, because they're here too, and right now they're ruling the roost. Right now they're getting away with quite literal murder. And so it's sort of to get over that hump, over that fear. So we've got here the first card being the Devil card, now a major arcana, and this speaks to the chains that bind you to the lower vibration of self. But it also speaks to that being in not a negative way necessarily. It's you know, your base, your root. It's who you are. But often with this card, there is a level of indoctrination or labeling or conditioning that you've either done on yourself, or that you've allowed others to do on you, or that it's been done to you as a child through various forms, through parents, teachers, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, friends, whatever. Just society, the spell work that is put out in society that has impregnated you somewhere. And then change you. Instead of you using your root, this lower frequency, again, not bad, just as in numbers, lower frequency, as in measurements, a lower, more base frequency. But this is a beautiful place too. It's where your root is. It's where your legs are. Look at them as being roots. Look at them as being when you ground yourself and you put your feet in sand or soil. When you put your feet in the grass, I like to wiggle my toes right in, because it's like a plant stretching its roots into the nourishing dark womb, where the unmanifested things can become possible because of the nutrition that's in there, because of the nourishment that is within that dark space. This is where you feel yourself being grounded very effectively when you do this, as though you are a plant rooting yourself. But where we come in with not being able to recognize self, or the more true you, or just the great potentials of you, and being able to channel that devil energy to a certain extent in order to have a passion and drive for doing so, for promoting self. In this magician card also, this magician is not shy. He likes to show off. This is where often we've gotten chained to a idea, an ideal of what we have been conditioned or labeled by ourselves and by others into what we think we are, or what we think we should be, or how we think we are trapped into having a negative feeling towards self, and feeling chained to this negativity, instead of this being the beautiful base where your roots can grow and dig in. It becomes a space where you get stuck in a rut, you get stuck in addictions, you get stuck in the labels or the conditions that have put you there in the first place, with these chains that are now binding you to this position, where you're finding it more difficult to raise up through your other energy points, because your root is where the foundation of all of your energy points is in your root, in your base. So if that foundation is distorted and disfigured by labels, by conditions, by spell work, then it is either on yourself or by others, then it stands to reason that you're never going to be able to rise up through your energy points, or have your energy points balanced out as you should be able to do. And so this is where we see where we are maybe in fear, like I was mentioning about Wayne's show. He speaks about a lot of people getting in contact with him in great fear of the kind of thing that he's talking about right now. And for all of the dark things we could speak about, especially in the spiritual community, I don't see it as far as the book that he's following. You know, it's a source of power that is not being tapped into. And so that would be the kind of thing where these chains are binding you to a level of fear, and that would come through indoctrination, a lot of which comes through the indoctrination via Christianity. I forgot I was holding that sage there, smoking away. And so, yeah, Christianity and other various things that have conditioned us into this fearful place. The danger of being in such fear of things like this would be that we are seeing right now that when we are conditioned to be so susceptible to fear, be so susceptible to labels, be so susceptible to figures and things like that, that literally governments around the world can use a faulty test, not fit for purpose test, and manufacture results that just are not based on any kind of real facts, but just are fear porn. So this is where we see that this is the danger of us not accepting that we are our own magicians and have the capabilities that haven't even begun to be tapped into to their fullest potentials, where we don't have this passion and drive and sensuality about it, excitement about it. This is where we see the greater dangers of this. If we are to accept these chains in our individual life, then we are going to see them being passed down the line from the so-called powers that be. And so it is super important that we're able to remove these chains and remove these levels of fear. Now, that's not to say everybody's got to go and follow the book that Wayne is doing, for instance. This is just the best example I can think of in this reading right now. But put it to any place in your life. But it is to say that we don't have to fear it. It is to say that the other things that might reflect in your own life, that you're in a fearful place, as I've described, ask yourself really, truly, why? Who taught you to be fearful of whatever it is you're fearful of? Who taught you to fear the sensuality of self, the sexuality of self, the passion, the drive? Who taught you to fear that? And start to release those chains, and you'll see that you'll fly to the magi position where you can start to enjoy yourself in that drive, that sensuality, that sexuality that a lot of magic brings. It gets the Kundalini energy going. So of course you're going to feel that sensuality in the process of it all. This is where we're seeing a lot of people in the collective being extremely promiscuous, in that something about those labels, those conditions that they had in childhood, or that they've just had throughout their life, that they've either given to themselves or even given to themselves and attracted in through various forms with others, that we see that, again, they might look like they are free, practicing this free sensuality and sexuality, but it is chained to only a lower root base. It's chained to that point where it isn't getting that beautiful, fulfilling, energetic exchange. It is more, the more they try and chase this, the more they bind their chains tighter. And so be aware of this. Be aware of a lot of people using lower base magic, maybe even just subconsciously, maybe not even consciously, to attract in and utilize other people's energies through the sexual carrot on the stick kind of thing. Be aware of that. It feels like these people, some of you will be able to recognize exactly what I'm talking about straight away, because you're witnessing it either in yourself or friends or family, that you feel like, if it's yourself or you're witnessing it, that you can either feel or you can see that there is a lot of clutter of spiritual debris, those spiritual STDs, and even some physical STDs. And this drive is in hyperdrive today for some reason. And so be aware of this, that there are individuals around, certain individuals in the collective, that would seek to entrap, attract in under the guise of something else. And it'll come back to burn you, it'll bind you, and it binds them even further. So whoever that is for, or the whoever's that is for, be really aware of that. It's kept coming up, and it is getting very, very apparent. Now, the Seven of Swords clarifies the Devil card. So this is where we look at the fact of that stealing energy, that a lot of people are using this magic from the lower bound frequency, that lower chained frequency rather than lower free frequency that is free to delve deep into the dark womb, unmanifest. If you picture through the legs as the roots, through the toes into the ground as the roots of any kind of plant or tree, it's stuck. You know, it's not going up and it's not going down. It's just stuck in this bowl in the lower pelvis. And so this is where this energy does seek to take. It's bound, so it's not feeling this energy in itself. It can't feed its own Kundalini energy to self-source excitement and driven passions in a good way, and it can't dig down into the ground to get that grounding, to feel that calm, that peace, that growth. So it is unstable. It's got no roots to hold it up, and it's got no flowers at the top, if you're thinking of a person, that is, to absorb the sunlight, to attract the beautiful things like the bees, the butterflies. And so this is where it is like this bowl. If you picture the pelvis as a bowl right now, and all of this energy, particularly for those who are being very promiscuous at the moment, is sitting in that bowl. And because it is energy that is just sitting, it is becoming more and more distorted, more and more disfigured, and could be in some turning to a more evil type of energy, a destructive type of energy that wants to just absorb and take and steal. And so there is that with this Seven of Swords. There is also the fact that there are certain people dealing with those that they love that are truly addicted to substances, to sex, to alcohol, to the things that, again, keep them in this energetic bowl where the energy likes to move, it likes to transmute. When it gets stuck, when it gets trapped in one space, symptoms appear. So you might find that you are either in yourself or you're witnessing in loved ones certain symptoms that maybe their addictions seem to catch up with them overnight, where they have certain skin conditions showing up, or they have certain menstrual problems, where they're having like a swelling of the pelvic area. All of those things are evident of the fact that they are bound to just serving this bowl, where they are putting all of this energy through these addictions. And they're passionate about it and driven about it. And there could be a trickster about trying to get what they want out of you in order to feed and serve that addiction. They become a slave to this energetic bowl. This is now their prison. And this is really difficult to deal with. And it is actually only them or you, if it's resonating with you yourself, that can deal with this energy, but deal with it they must, and it is dealable. It is, there is the ability to deal with it, although it feels very overwhelming. But many of you are rolling your eyes that resonate with this part of the reading, because you're witnessing the fact that things have gotten quite bad, and it does take a lot of strength now to break that bowl, to allow that energy to release, to allow that energy to drain down through the legs into the ground, and allow that energy to rise up, and allow the consciousness to question self regarding how they got here or how you got here, and what moves did they make that were wrong, that had them serving this energetic prison in their lower root chakra energy point. And so they have a very distorted view of themselves. Some of you, I can hear you trying to talk to loved ones, trying to help them remember the good attributes that they have, and they just don't seem to be hearing it. And I know it's really difficult, but for a lot of you, it's time to pull away that resonate with this. For a lot of you, it's time to contemplate the fact that trying to aid this person too much, trying to, in your life too much, trying to put too much energy to this aspect of your life in another is stealing your energy away. It's draining and it's unsustainable. And right now, we all need to be energetically ready, as well as physically ready, mentally ready, emotionally ready, spiritually ready for what we are to face. So this is where it is a case of trying to take steps back, letting go. Some of you even might have to contemplate the cutting off of somebody out of your life, as this is starting to show symptoms physically for you too. And this is because, again, what happens with these energies very much so, and I know I'm going into a lot of detail, but these are very difficult things for people to deal with. These are very upsetting things in people's lives to deal with, whether you be the addict or whether you be the person trying to help the addict. And I shouldn't even say the addict. Sorry. You know, this is where we have to be really careful with words. Being the magicians, I should say the person dealing with an addiction. Because if it is you that is resonating with this, then I do apologize for saying that. That was a slip of the tongue. Because you are not the addict. You are the person who has allowed themselves to get bound and chained, and maybe allowed themselves to become the slave to the slave master that is the source of the addiction. But you are not the addict. You're not. You're the person dealing with an addiction, or you're the person affected by addiction. Those are better words to choose. That's a better sentence to say. So I do apologize, and I absolutely bind up those words as far as labeling you. And that's how easy we can label others or label ourselves. That's how easy it is, particularly with the English language, which was a deliberate thing. So yeah, these are difficult energies for people to deal with. And so, but sometimes we do have to recognize that the spirits that come along often with the substances that would cause the physical body to be addicted, actually like the feeling of the addiction. They like the feeling of the distortion. They like the feeling of messing with others' lives. This is where some of you might be dealing with an ancestor coming through you that was addicted to a certain substance or a certain way of being. And so for you, this would be the inner work to deal with that, and to even cut off from that aspect, from that point of view, to cut off that energy source, to do the inner work and be the magician, to sever that connection, to explain to that ancestor you won't serve them any longer, because in serving them, you're becoming a slave to the same substance or similar substance or thing that they had become a slave to. So again, it's about freeing yourself from those chains, which is doable. Difficult, yes, but doable, yes. Are you able? Yes. All of those things and more. But for those witnessing somebody who is dealing with an addiction of any kind, if it's gotten to this point of extreme for you, then sometimes the only thing you can do for yourself, because with these substances, as I was explaining before, I had to correct myself, with the spirits that often come along with this type of energy, you find that it creates a chain of slaves, in that some of you have changed your behavior. Maybe you are trying to almost cover up for a son or daughter, because you feel your partner is at the end of their tether, has had enough with handing out money, or fixing problems that are caused by this person's addiction. Maybe you're going behind your partner's back and trying to facilitate what you would perceive as an easy life, anything for an easy life. Maybe because you just can't do the inner work right now to contemplate what you know subconsciously you need to do, not forever, but for now, in that to let go, to allow this loved one, this person, this friend to reach rock bottom, because it's at that rock bottom that at least they have a chance to find their grounding. At least they're then closer to the ground. They only have to dig the roots in a little bit to get the energetic feedback of feeling grounded for once. But this chain of slaves that addictions cause, is that in just that, you change your behavior, you change your lifestyle, you change who you are, to facilitate this, because it has you over a barrel, it seems, in that you love dearly the person that you're trying to cover up for. But in that covering up, you, one way or the other, are facilitating further addiction. You're giving more financial freedom, let's say, or you're giving more of a security blanket, let's say. And, you know, it does feel like a gamble for those of you that I'm picking up on, in that you wonder what will happen when they reach rock bottom. And that's only for them to decide. And yes, you might have to contemplate that they might not survive rock bottom, but they are not going to survive for sure if their addiction, as they should survive, with healthy, happy lifestyles. So it's a gamble that, you know, is worth taking, not just for them, but for yourself too. There's a mental exhaustion here with this situation. So that's gone into almost a private reading for somebody, but it is a very, I deal with this a lot with people, especially through spiritual coaching. And it is a really deep and interesting subject, you know, as far as me, the magician on the other side, watching it and trying to help the person dig deep into it in order to take out the weeds and allow that area, that pelvic floor, that ground to be aired, allow the energy to start flowing. It does bring with it a lot of emotions that are released, that have been being covered up via these addictions, like a plaster. And so it is difficult. So I do feel that that has been a very personal reading for somebody. Reach out to me if you want to go further into that, but it is something that is close to my heart, because it does create this chain of slaves, in that the people around anybody who loves and cares for anybody who is dealing with an addiction, one way or the other, if they're not very careful, can be tricked. And it's not often that even the person who's dealing with the addiction is doing it consciously, but they become, and I do feel this is because they often attract spirits around them that are very good at this and very au fait with the addictive personality, they become very stealthy. They become very good magicians at tricking you, at manipulating you in order to serve this new master that they have within them, and that is the substance, the addiction. But often it is much deeper than that. Always it's much deeper in that there are spiritual connections, literal spirits that like to feed off that energy, whether that be ancestors or something else. And so it is, you're very easily, especially when you love them, taken in by that, and you can very easily, before you look up, find yourself bound in chains by it. So it is something that is super important to release yourself from and allow this person to gamble. Now, one thing I can say is that knowing some people and helping some people become a person who is not addicted to any substance, these can then turn out to be, and this is where your gamble will pay off. Really, you know, subconsciously, it's the only choice you really do have. They're actually looking at this magician card. They become some of the best magicians, because they can then draw on that experience of being manipulative, being deceiving, conniving and stealthy, and turn all of that around and use it for their greatness, in that they can recognize when other people are doing that to them or doing that to others around them, or they can transmute the energy of distortion and create clarity, because they've known distortion, so they can actually see through distortion easier and quicker. And all of the other things, just transmuting them into a totally different lens, totally different energy from which they can have a completely insightful and inspired viewpoint and impact, so that it is a gamble worth taking. So 2 cards, and I don't know how far in we are. I'll speed up. So the Ace of Swords, again, a bit of a brutal card, but it's in reverse. So in the upright, you can see this cat has the snake trapped. It's about to sever its head. And so, but it's in reverse. And so this speaks to a lot of muddy waters, a lack of clarity. So a lot of you feel like you are chasing the result of something, or chasing the, what's the word, solution of something, but you're chasing around a very wriggly snake. And it could be a very long snake, a never-ending snake, because you're not going for the head. And so you can chase this snake around at the body as long as you like, but it's going to have you going round and round and round, and it's going to fog up the clarity more and more and more. To stop and think of things in a different way. And I hope, if that resonated with you thus far, that the explanation of the first 4 cards that I've explained helps give you that clarity of how to look at it from a different perspective, through a different lens. Finally, you might be able to flip this around and actually go for the head of the snake and make those difficult decisions, yes, but because you see the bigger picture, the bigger potentials or the bigger downfalls, because you're then thinking more clearly, would speak of you being able to finally have full clarity. This could be for the person who is dealing with an addiction, as explained before, reaching rock bottom, chasing, being made to be in a position to do what others around them have probably been doing for a long time, and chase that body of the snake until they get to a point where they go for their head and gain this clarity. because of the reaching of rock bottom. It also speaks of the collective. There are a lot of people still not asking the right questions. As far as from the collective stage, for instance, it's very little about the answer, but it's more about the right question being asked. In that asking straightforward questions to the powers that be. Do these tests isolate such and such? Were they ever made to do so with such and such? Those kinds of questions that can only give answers that are given with more clarity. Because if they're not, then you know that they're avoiding the question and you can repeat the same question. There is an energy that we do need to stop chasing our tail in the collective. Yes, there's a lot of information to get out there. Yes, there's a lot to say and do, but the right people, but the wrong people, so-called powers that be, but the right people are not getting asked the right questions. So we continue to chase this snake, this never-ending snake, the body of the snake that is evasive, it's wriggly, it's fast. And because we're not going for the head keeps biting us. It keeps being able to wind round and snap down on us. So that's happening from the wider stage for sure, from these so-called powers that be and these shadowy beings that hide within them and behind them. These parasitic beings that hide within them and around them and behind them. So the right questions must be asked, or we're going to continue to get bitten. It does also speak of this happening as above, so below, on all layers, of this happening in our individual lives. I've had this recently. There is, to be quite honest, idiots. And I had to question myself too, because I helped certain people for too long. And now I'm getting bitten. Now the bites don't hurt. They can't touch this. The bites don't hurt, no. But it is annoying, and for those who are susceptible to believing or absorbing the venom, then you know it's creating divisions that really are ridiculous right now, that really nobody's got time for that. If I could do a good American accent, I would be doing a good American accent right now saying so. So nobody has time for that. So then we see that, you know, this is happening in our individual lives. And because of this, you see people scrambling, chasing the tail of the snake. And it gets more and more foggy as to what was even the source of this division? What was even the source of this divide? And so going for the head of the snake, which, you know, in my point of view, from my individual aspect, if it continues, I will take that head off. I will, you know, put it out there. I will, because I've had enough of this energy. There is this evasiveness that they keep dividing things that do not need to be divided. And so this is happening around us all right now. I think we're all witnessing this one way or the other, either from position that is quite far back from it, but able to witness it, or actually being in the mix of it or being affected by it. So there is this need to eventually say no and put the right questions to the right people, go in for that head of the snake in order to take its venom away, in order to incapacitate it. And so the clarifying card for this is the Four of Cups. So the Four of Cups here, you can see there's this lady meditating on the ground, one cup in front of her that she's concentrating on deeply, and the three cups behind her. She has her eyes closed. And so again, there is this source of intuition, there is this source of power that is available to us. And the Four of Cups traditionally being from the etherical realm, the hand from the heavens handing the cup with everything that is needed within it to gain a new perspective, to be able to channel emotions fully rather than them channeling us, to be able to truly enter into the inner cosmos of the waters within and retrieve the memory that we need to retrieve as and when we need to. This takes a skill set to be able to see. Again, it's more of a card of seeing the evasive, seeing the elusive. That's a better way to put it. In that there is a remedy, a result, solution, and it is within your emotions. It's within grounded emotions. She's sitting on the ground here, she's meditating, she's grounding herself to be able to even see or feel, for want of better words, this cup, this everything that is needed to understand whatever it is that is needed to be understood at any given moment. And so again, it's being able to pin down the evasive and the elusive with these two cards. They're both speaking of that, with the Ace of Swords in reverse and the Four of Cups. It's speaking of you're chasing your tail too much, if this resonates with you. You're not having enough downtime, and actually you're thinking you're being more productive that way, but it's being counterproductive. Because you don't even need to be working this hard, because if you were able to connect with this elusive cup that has everything in that you need to understand right now, then everything else would fall into place. This card would suddenly turn upright and the head of the snake would be very, very apparent very quickly. And so again, it's about going within, taking it back within. The remedy for the addictions or the promiscuous chains that bind you with this Devil card is within you. No one else, it's within you. And if this is resonating from a point of view of you being witness or being of service to somebody that you care for that is addicted, then again, there's this wisdom that is needed to be had here over emotions, in that if this is all within you always, then it is always within them too. And the answer will never come from you. The healing, the freedom from those chains that bind them will never come from you. It's not able to happen that it can't happen that way. It has to come from within. This person has to be able to ground themselves, or you have to be able to ground yourself, to stop acting in a counterproductive way by always externalizing it. So whoever that's for, it's deep down. So the next card being, let's see, the Empress. So we've got a major arcana bookending and a major arcana here. Major arcanas, big energies, which would tell you that the remedy, the result that would be wanted is within these cards, is within the energies of today. So today, whether you are resonating with this from a point of view that it's speaking directly to you, or whether you're resonating from a point of view that you are exhausted because you are in service to somebody who is affected this way, or you are just witnessing it in the collective, or you are indeed, not even victim, but, party to a snake that keeps turning around and biting you. This is where it would show you that the energies are here for you to dig deep and let this be your day of freedom in your individual life. What does that do from the collective point of view? Well, it puts out the frequency of sovereignty and divinity for a start. It starts to make you act in a different way. Other people see that, watch that, and again, you have an effect like that pebble being thrown into the river. And so the ripple effect. So the Empress card comes out, number 3, major arcana, beautiful card here for a beautiful energy. This Empress, she's being catered for, she's being adorned, she's being fanned, and there are a lot of children around her as well as women. And so you can see the children looking up to her, just gazing at her, this divine feminine energy, this mother. And so this speaks of your thoughts, your words, your deeds create the reality that you embrace and live in. And so to gain clarity and really change your position in life, it really does come from actually what I did during this reading, being able to course correct, being able to be very aware and cognizant of your words, knowing that they are your spells, knowing that you lock spells into place over yourself by the way that you speak about yourself to other people and to yourself in the mirror. So it takes a lot of, it takes a lot of wisdom and strength and power to have this divinity and sovereignty, to obviously be very kind and being of service to others by being of service and in love with self. This Empress card here, this energy, she has no shame in sitting up straight, allowing herself to be fanned by another person, allowing the children to witness this divine sovereign energy above them without embarrassment. She carries herself with a poise and grace, as though she's walking on a movie set every single minute of every single day. And so being aware of this and speaking clearly and concisely and speaking those powerful words to yourself will ultimately release you from either being of service to somebody else's chains that are binding them with this Devil card. And again, all of the beautiful things that I mentioned, releasing that energy and channeling this Devil card in a good way, i.e. getting to know your root, your base, and gaining strength by being able to then let your energy flow downwards as well as upwards from a beautiful foundation to create deep roots that are new roots, new growth, being able to recognize that there is huge amounts of power in the way that you think and the way that you talk. In fact, everything we are experiencing in this reality ultimately will come down to a way of thinking and a way of speaking it out, a way of putting that energetic stamp on it and physical stamp on it by energizing the words within and releasing them out into this reality. And so to be able to be this divine feminine energy, whether you are male or female, to be able to balance out this very passionate masculine magician energy with this very sensual and seductive and beautified energy of the divine feminine Empress. This is a power that will absolutely have the capabilities of turning this Ace of Swords around into full clarity, therefore being able to see and feel your intuition and psychic nature so deeply that the remedies that you need come forward with ease. And so the Strength card comes out to clarify this Empress, another major arcana. And number 8, so this speaks of the infinite loops. You see the infinity sign above this divine feminine, and this divine feminine energy being of what looks like a very petite stature, very gentle, yet she has this wisdom and power with this Empress energy to be able to channel a beast, a lion, action-packed, fueled, energized energy that wants to go. Yet she is able, with her grace, with her poise, with her strength of her divine feminine attributes, able to lull this lion into a place of calm. She's also able to channel this lion, the divine feminine energy, holding up the divine masculine energy within, being able to rest this lion, be kind to this lion within, which would be this passion, this drive with this Ace of Wands, but able to have such a level of self, control, to be so poised that addictions be gone, that service in a slave mentality be gone. Because if she has the power to do this with this lion, when, let's say, for the addiction side of things, that body starts to kick up and like a lion, sees the perfect prey and just wants to hunt and takes no notice of the gun that is pointing towards it if it comes out of the bush to hunt this, whatever it hunts. This is where the divine feminine energy has the strength to hold that back, to ease that impulse. Again, addiction be gone, chains that bind be gone. Huge amount of energy today, huge amount of potentials for those that want to pick up on these energies. Even if the reading doesn't resonate, and I hope it doesn't for many, as far as the addiction goes, so specifically, because that was very specific for some people. There is so much to take from it today, from the energies within these cards today, that whatever you are processing or encountering or embarking on, these energies will get you there if you channel them this way. If you're able to take on board the messages just in general from them, there is a huge amount of greatness within it. But there's a lot of deception here. And so be aware of that, where it feels like there's this divine feminine clarity, but a masculine energy of deception. And I feel that's going to come in a big way from the so-called powers that be, with the more masculine puppets on the stage. A huge deception today with the 2 aces and the devil, that seeks to bind people up even in more fear. And I'm hoping it's not some kind of trick like a flag event, because I know that's coming real soon. Because they want to freeze frame people into this place of fear, because when they're in fear, they have ultimate control over you. Because when you're in fear, you're in that ace of where is it? Ace of Swords in reverse. You're in that foggy space. So yeah, be aware of that for sure. And be aware of it for sure, very much so in your individual life. On top of the addictions and apart from the addictions and things like that that have come up in this reading, be very aware today in business regarding deceptions. I wouldn't actually sign a contract today. I would bend the time with this Magician card. I would bend the time to at least 8 days, minimum 3. So I don't know who that's for, but you know, if that sort of resonates with you, if you're talking contracts, whether it be a house or business, just bend the time, be the magician here and bend your time to extend the time span that you have to respond or confirm or sign, because I feel like the deception will be shown in that period of time, because there will be a certain level of clarity gained by you, for those that resonate with this aspect of the reading, that you are able to turn this Ace of Swords into the upright in order to actually see what's really been going on, or see what the motive really was. For sure. So if you can bend that time with this Magician card, minimum 3 days, hopefully 8, then you're going to be okay. You're going to be able to see what you needed to see. When you do see it, don't doubt yourself. When it does become apparent to you, don't doubt yourself. Go with your gut, go with your intuition, channel that divine feminine side, and you know, lull that lion that maybe wants to jump into something, into a bit of a sleep. Let it have a few afternoon naps, and sit back and watch, sit back and wait. Okay. So that is the daily reading for the 20th of August 2021. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for just being a part of what I'm doing and who I am, and the development actually that you people, you beautiful, beautiful people, are helping me with, the self-development. You know, it hits me a lot. You people say things that get me, either they get me, you know, in the heart space, where it's just like, they really think that, you know, that is outstanding that they think that of me, or that, you know, like Jess, you know, he said yesterday, I think it was, don't be unapologetic. Now Jess can, you know, he can snap at me sometimes, but I like it because it's real. It's never nasty. It's just that, you know, you can have that relationship with somebody you've never met, and that it's like that for so many of you, your family to me. And I know your energies so well. And so, you know, there, you know, yesterday it was like, don't be unapologetic, sorry. Be unapologetic. You've done a lot of awesome videos and you put out a lot of free content or something along those words. And it just got me. I was like, oh, he's a bit proud of me. And I thought, damn, that is outstanding. And so where I hope that I help you guys, you know, and girls, I know that you help me in various different forms, you know, Big Sis Susie, you know, Big Sis Gaia, Deborah, you know, Suzanne, and now I've named it, and I could go on and on and on, because I don't want to name everybody. You know, Big Bro, Elderberry, you know, Shelley, Jax, you know, it's you're just beautiful people. And all my brothers, you know, the Davids, you just outstanding people, Scotty boys, you know, and they're just the names that I can see in my mind's eye for the most recent comments or the most recent messages that I've sent. You're outstanding people. I love you very, very much. And I thank you. I thank you so much for looking out for me and guiding me more than you know. I take on board the things that you say. I transmute them. Some of them you say, not for me. But then most of the time it's like, yeah, anyone needed to hear that. And they were brave enough to just, and connected enough and in love enough, able to just say that. And one way or another, it helps me develop so much, so much. So I'm just very, very blessed to have all of you. I'm very, very blessed to have such good friends that are just being like bonds that are being made around me. So where there are those few snakes, which they're going to be, you know, we knew that when things hit like this, we knew that there would be plenty. But, you know, it's way balanced out or outbalanced by the fact that beautiful connections are being made, beautiful bonds are being made. You know, family is being cultivated around the world. I will do a tour of America one day. I will be able to be around and hug you all. I'm a hugger. I'm a hugger. And hug the people that mean the world to me over there too. And maybe even Australia one day. In that right now I want to go in there with a great big water gun and just sort things out, because my Australian brothers and sisters, I love you, I appreciate you, and the collective should bear the brunt of blame alongside the collective within Australia for allowing things to get this far. I'm so sorry that it has been allowed to get that far. And again, you know, I'm not sorry for this. I'm sorry you're going through this. But, you know, as far as it having anything to do personally with me, I detest royalty. Always have, always will. And I know that the level of control and spell work they still have on Australia. You know, they're magicians, the dates and everything, you can see it. They've never released that place from the moment they made it a prison country. From the moment they showed such disrespect and disregard way back when, for the originals, as Lindell would say, the originals of that land, is so disgustingly dark. It really is. And they don't need to exist. It is a falsity that we need royalty. And it is a falsity that this family is deserving or owed the control and money and leeway that they're given. That it should not be the case. It doesn't have to be the case. We just need enough people to wake up to that fact, you know, and maybe take a leaf out of Russia's book way back when they realized they didn't need that kind of royalty. And I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying, you know, they need to step down, and the people need to demand that they step down. And, you know, there are many crimes to their names that need to be answered for. So yeah, bit of a rant at the end, but people need to know about what's going on in the world, the tyranny. And just because it may not have hit your country or state quite so aggressively, there is a yet at the end of that sentence, yet. And so Australia, with you, I'm devastated that it got this far, really. Anyway, that was a serious note. So there are lots of serious notes. And so, you know, I want to leave you with this. You're all freaking awesome. You are all powerful and beautiful in such individual, fantastic ways. And your personalities shine through to me. Your energy shines so bright to me. You know, I feel you like you guys feel me, and girls feel me when I'm low. And I do the same with you guys and girls. But I also feel you when you are elated, when you are flying, when your intuitive sparks are, you know, firing. And so you just take this with you today. You are not any label. You are not any condition. You are not what others think of you or what others say about you. You are awesome beings that are sculptors, that are artists, that only you can paint and sculpt and model the capacity of you. So take that with you and mold yourself today like you are clay. You know, mold yourself into the position in your consciousness of greatness, of bliss, and of abundance, and allow the good things to come to you. Allow that frequency to be put out, and like a magnet, let each and every one of you attract in something that your heart desires today. Let that be our combined intent. Let that be our combined focus, that each and every one of us has the support of the other, for them to find something that will help them towards their greatness today, that will help them towards their ultimate bliss today, and that you just attract it in like a magnet, that it can't help but come to you in the most beautiful and divine and freaky, because freaky is good. Let's face it, when good things happen like this, when spells like this really, you know, they're like in your face, that there's no other way that could have happened other than magic. Let that be the case for each and every one of you today. For those of you that can combine in that intent and believe in your ability to do this, let you have the result that you're all commenting by the end of the day. Guess what? Guess what? So it can be anything small or big. I just want to know about it because, you know, I'm a Gemini. I like to know. So I love you all. I appreciate you all so, so much. Much love, balance, and wholeness. Please like and share. It really does help. I'm not getting enough shares. So I'm going to be open about that. You know, I need more help sharing what I do. And, you know, enjoy. Leave a comment. Mwah.